Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, CARHARTT, is at work. She should be home any minute, though. Today we are doing the review on the Spyderco Chaparral. Now, I have to say, I never would have thought I'd like this knife as much as I do. One, it has just a bunch of things that I guess I'm just not a huge fan of. Like the FRN, a backlock. It is smaller, but this thing surprised me. I really like this thing. So let's just get into this review. And I also want to thank Timbo for sending me a bunch of knives from his collection to check out and then gifting us this knife. And that's amazing, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that because this is such a good little user. Obviously it's not a big knife, so you're not going to be able to do like the big knife things, but that's the beauty of it. Because if you really think about it, I guess I don't know if I can say majority, but the little tasks or like the little fine tasks, like the little utility stuff, the things you would need a little knife for, possibly are the majority of cutting and knife use. So this thing is just a handy little devil, and man, thank you, Timbo. I appreciate that, man. And this one's got, you can see he put some custom screws in there, some titanium screws, which is also cool because it makes it just pop. But let's get into this thing. I'm sorry for rattling your ears off. Thank you again, Timbo. I appreciate it, brother. So the overall length is 6.4 inches. I measured it at really 6 3/8, and then the blade length is 2.8 inches, just under 3 inches. Let's do some quick size comparisons. Here is the Hinderer 3-inch XM18. You can see it's a bit bigger. Then let's do, here's another Spyderco, the Techno 2. These two, the Techno 2 is just a tiny little guy, but man, he's a little tank. And then here is the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio. A lot of people know the Civivi Elementum. And then a lot of people know the Bug Out. And then here is the CRKT Pillar. I think that's enough size comparisons. So, it's a small knife. But the blade steel is CTS XHP. Love that steel. I did sharpen it. Like I was saying before, I have been using it quite a bit, actually. I've been carrying it as a secondary for the finer things. And it's such a good cutter. The blade stock thickness is only 80 thousandths. That is a very thin blade stock that is definitely made for going through stuff. And a lot of times you hear me complaining about blade geometry and stuff like that. And it's not that like the knife that I might be talking about doesn't cut. It's just how well it passes through materials. But I do understand that sometimes knives are, they have to match their build, right? Like you don't want to put a blade that's going to break very easily on top of a really strong build, right? This goes together so great. This is so thin, and behind the edge thickness is only 10 thousandths. So, wow, great blade geometry. The edge sharpened up very nice. I put a fantastic working edge on it. 1200 grit, and it looks beautiful. Sharpened up very nicely, very sticky. And the FRN on this, a lot of you guys know I don't like FRN, but on something like this, it does make sense. And if I was gonna pick FRN, it would be like this. One, it's nice and grippy, and it just feels like there was more put into it when it's like this. All the screws are really good hardware. Now, I know these are aftermarket screws, so, you know, it's not going to come stock like that, but you see how they stick up a little bit. I'm sure the factory ones did the same thing. I'm not positive, but I think it's kind of cool how they stick up. Some people might complain about that, but it doesn't bother anything, and it just kind of looks cool. They're easy to get to. The wire clip works so good. In and out of the pocket, you can put this in your fifth pocket without a problem. Let's get to the action. So I can Spidey flick this, but like a lot of backlocks, they can be a little tough to Spidey flick, you know, just depending on the tension from the backlock, because this is a backlock, and the backlock is basically a bar right here, and then you see that groove cut out right there, and when it's all the way open, this will drop down into that groove. Bang, locked up. And it's locked up really solid. Now, this isn't like a really strong knife or anything like that. I could totally probably break it, but that's the point, though. This isn't made to be very strong. It's made to be a precision cutter. I like that. The ergos are really nice for a little small knife. Now, I'm not expecting griptilian ergos out of something like this. I'm expecting, well, one thing I like is that I can get a full grip, especially because of this finger twirl right here. I can get a full grip. It's really nice. Now, when I was pushing it through materials, there were times where I needed a bigger knife. I just did. And regardless of how good this thing cuts, you know, sometimes it's just a little small in the hand, thinness-wise. And if you're pushing through thicker materials, you know, it's going to be a little difficult. But I also understand that that's not what it's for. So in those times, I break out a bigger knife, use the bigger knife, and then when I need a smaller knife, I use this one. The beauty of it is how good, well, because the tip points down. I love that, because that makes it to where you can, you know, you can trace, you can do anything with this blade, or like utility wise with this blade shape. And then the grind. The tip is a precision tip, so you can easily just outline stuff or do any type of cutting like that. But then also for the small cuts or the fast cuts that you need to do with a knife, this works great. Back here, if I'm not choked up here and I'm back here, yeah, it's a 3-finger knife. But I never do that. I don't think I've held the knife like this at all. I'm always like this or like this with this knife. And the wire clip kind of gives me something else too. Instead of holding like that, I always hold it like that for some reason. Where I actually use the wire clip as, you know, to get a little leverage. But the action, you know, it's a backlock, so, you know, I guess it's about as good as it can get for a backlock. So what you have to do is you have to literally put the tension not out. So if I just go out, it'll just do that. But if I put the tension going this way, so I'm literally putting tension like straight up and this way, and then it pops out. Well, with authority too, so it's not too bad once you get used to it. Now at first it's you know, it's not that great, because you try to Spidey flick it like normal, it just doesn't work out like that. Same thing with the thumb flick. You want to put the tension straight up. Ooh, straight up and out. There we go. But these backlock knives aren't really made for flicking. They're made for slow rolling. That's how you're supposed to open it. You just get your thumb in there, roll it out, bam. I do like the sound of the lock, how it just pops. But yeah, not a fidget knife, but I like to play with it still. I mean, it's still nice to, or, you know, I guess, you know, one thing it does is it gives you the Spidey flicking crunches. And what I mean by that is that if you're not good at Spidey flicking, this is one that'll give you a workout and teach you how to get a lot of leverage behind your middle finger when you're flicking. Same thing with the thumb, because you got to be pretty strong with it. Anyways, I'm sorry, guys. Little too long on that one. So let's talk about the things I don't like. There's not much, because I'm not going to throw out things that another knife has that this one doesn't have, because that's not the point. The point of this knife is to be a little fifth pocket utility cutter. I mean, that's just the point of it. Or, obviously to do anything, that a little tiny fifth pocket knife would do. And it does all those things so good. So the only thing I could really complain about, I'm not even going to complain about the FRN, because it's done so good. And I like it. I like it a lot. The wire clip works so good. So the only thing I'm going to complain about is one thing. I have one thing. Let's get to it. So this backlock, when you push it, it does have a lot of tension, right? And since it's only 80 thousandths thick, it can get annoying. I wish that they just would have rounded these edges a little bit and put that little dent in there. Somebody told me what that was called, and now I can't think of what it's called, but just that little tiny dent right there that makes it more comfortable to push. A lot of backlocks have that. This one doesn't, and if it did, man, it would increase this thing tenfold. I mean, this knife is only $95 with CTS XHP, so yeah. I mean, this one's a little more because of the aftermarket screws, but besides that, it's a $95 knife, so it's under $100, but I still think they should have done that. The fit and finish is really nice. Everything lines up really good. The jimping works awesome. It's so grippy right here when I'm like this. It's super grippy. This is one of their Taiwan models, as you can see. But yeah, man, this is a fantastic little knife. And I like carrying it. The fifth pocket knife, man, it gets a lot of use. I'll say that, because there are a lot of times where it's like I'm not needing to break down a bunch of cardboard or cut straps. I need just a little cut really quick, just a little utility cutter to outline something or to cut something out of something or to open something up. This is amazing. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.